Moonlit Fly Fishing, fly tying night tonight. I'm Brandon Moon, and tonight we're going to be tying up a pattern coming out of the great state of Utah, introduced to us by Fly Fish Food, but created by Phil Bear. This is a very well-known and popular pattern in Utah that imitates mayflies or midges and sits very low in the water column, making it a very effective pattern. We're going to tie it a little bit different than the original, but we hope that you enjoy this pattern. Please let us know what you think in the comments below, and have a wonderful day. So the hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium Toata ML102. This is a standard forged dry fly hook with a wide gape. We're going to start our thread about 3/4 mark with the Semperfli Classic Wax Pale Olive, and we're going to use that tag end to help create a nice smooth underbody all the way back to the bend. I'm going to trim that out with my razor blade. I'm going to save that tag end and set it down to the side. Now I'm going to take 2 microfibers in Iron Blue from Semperfli's tailing fibers. I'm going to even out the tips, measure it out to be about the length of the hook shank, where I'm going to tie that in. Make sure it's sitting on top. Make sure I secure that down with a couple more wraps. Now I'm just going to spread and separate these tailing fibers here. Sometimes it's easier said than done. Right now I'm just struggling a little bit more than usual. So now we're going to take that tag end of thread. I'm going to loop it around the hook shank and then pull it up in between the 2 tailing fibers. And that's going to help splay them out as well as prop it up. Now I'm going to secure that thread down. I'm going to pull it tight as I secure it down so that I help pull those tail fibers up. Now I'm going to trim this out to that 3/4 mark where I started my thread. Now we start my thread where I know I'm going to start proportioning my fly. It makes it a lot easier to do it at the beginning. Now I'm going to wrap my thread back towards the tail here, and I'm going to stop just short of the tail, pull 2 threads underneath the tail for a little added support, propping that up, and then we'll make sure we finish off going back to the back end of the tail there and then forward. I'm going to create a little bit of a taper now by going back and forward about 2 or 3 times to create the taper that looks good to me. So I'm going to do it 3 times today. There's 2, and we'll go back just a little bit to create this last little taper here. Now I'm going to wrap this all the way back, again about 1 wrap shy of getting back to the tail here, and you'll see why in just 1 sec. Now I'm going to take a black alcohol marker. I'm going to mark my thread with that black alcohol marker. The alcohol marker is going to dry relatively quick. It pretty instantly, doesn't bleed, but you can see there's a little bit of green thread there. So now when I wrap that over the top, I create and finish off that and then create my ribbing with that black thread. We'll go all the way up to that point. Now I'm going to take some golden honey type badger hackle, and I've already prepped that feather. The shiny side is facing forward, and you can see I've actually got that on the wrong side there. So we'll get it tied in here on the right side. And I prepped this feather so that when that first wrap around the hook shank has a bare stem, so it lays a little bit cleaner. I'm going to use the hackle to push my thread forward, and I'm going to give this 4 wraps. So we've got 3 wraps, 4 wraps. Oh, I think that's 5. I like to do about 3 or 4 wraps and give myself, so I'm not crowding the eye of this hook. We'll lock in the hackle with 2 wraps over the top and then a couple wraps in front. I'm going to take a razor blade at this point, now that I've secured it and locked it in, and trim that out. Pull my hackle fibers back. Now this is how we create the wing. We're going to pull all those hackle fibers up. You can't really see it as I'm pulling it up because my fingers are in the way. Not really a better way to show you this. We'll keep pulling it up and going in front and back to the back again. You can see that we're pulling those hackle fibers to the top. And this is just going to create kind of similar look to a comparadun fly, but with hackle. Kind of similar to maybe a hackle stacker as well. Just a lot simpler way to tie this. So we're just going to crisscross, covering up and creating an underbody. And where this is a badger hackle, you can see that black from the bottom of that badger. So we're just going to try and clean that up as best we can. There is some fibers. We're just going to have to trim those out. I'm going to take a little bit of super glue just to help secure my knot as best as possible. 2 wraps, and then I'm going to take my whip finish tool and finish this off. And I'll give it a 2 or 3 turn whip, and then we'll just take it off, trim it, slide it down, and then trim off the thread. Again, I like a razor blade cleaner. Trim that off. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to take and trim out all these hackle fibers that are kind of out of place so that I get a nice flush fly. This pattern, the way it's tied, is going to sit nice and low in the water column like a natural insect. The regular no-seam doesn't tie in the tailing fibers, but I like the fibers in there. Adds a little bit more realistic look and a little bit more surface tension on this fly as well. And then I add the mil-spec body for the natural segmentation. There you have the blue wing olive no-seam fly. Thank you for watching.